A UNH poll out just last week says housing is now a top issue for a growing number of Granite Staters. Some of the numbers that stand out from this: a June report shows 20,000 more housing units would be needed to get close to having a healthy market for this state for housing. The median sales price of a single-family home in New Hampshire is now $450,000. Rent for a two-bedroom is almost $1,600 a month. Is there a role for the federal government to help with this? And if sent to Washington, what specifically would you do to alleviate this problem? Councillor Prescott, to you first.
Thank you very much. When I get to Washington, if I get there, I pray that I do, it's talking about the budget. It's talking about balancing the budget. How often have we sent congressmen and senators down to Washington, D.C. and not balance the budget? If we balance the budget, turn deficits into surpluses, and take care of the greatest needs in our country, that's the way it's done. We can focus right on housing. We can focus on giving a very strong economy so everyone's lifestyle or life income is increased, and therefore everything is more affordable. If we stop inflation, everything is more affordable. That's all stems from balancing our budget. How many times, again, have we sent people down there to not get that done? It's what I have been talking about since 1998 when I first ran for office. That's 24 years of running for office. That's real experience. That's growing up in politics in New Hampshire. My stripes won't change. I've said, let's balance the budget, and I did it for 10 years straight. And that's what I will do in Washington, D.C.
Ms. Levitt.
Well, the housing crisis is certainly something that's unique to our state here in New Hampshire, and I believe it's for a number of factors. First and foremost, obviously the rising cost of rent, burdensome regulations, and reducing red tape. That's what I'll focus on when I get to Congress, reducing those restrictions for investors to come to our state and develop housing. We have a big population of young folks here that attend our higher educational university system, but they leave because they can go rent an apartment down in South Boston and get a better paying job than they can here in the state of New Hampshire. And the housing crisis is then leading to a massive labor crisis. Every single business owner that I've spoken with over the last year, and I'm proud to be supported by so many of them in this campaign, has a major labor crisis. They cannot hire enough workers to do these jobs, so addressing the housing crisis will then lead to that and stopping the spending in Washington, D.C., paying people more to stay home than to get back to work. We have to get our unmitigated spending in Washington under control as well.
Representative Baxter, to you next.
Well, I actually run a real estate business, so this is an issue I'm very familiar with. And it's not just in New Hampshire, it's all across the country. People are struggling with the dramatically increasing cost of housing. And if you look at the CPI, it's actually one of the biggest parts that's increasing. One thing we can do here in New Hampshire is a land court to make sure that developers and that zoning laws are properly being followed here in New Hampshire. The other thing we have to do is balance the budget. Because the politicians are spending and printing money like drunken sailors, that's causing not just housing, but the cost of everything to go up. I serve on the Ways and Means Committee here in New Hampshire. I helped pass our budget, which was the only budget in the whole country that cut spending. What we need is those live free or die conservative values in Washington, and someone with the guts to fight for those values. I already am a proven conservative fighter, and I will fight for those values in Washington.
Mr. Mowers, changing this up a bit, should federal policy emphasize helping people achieve the dream of home ownership or help them afford rent?
I mean, look, the cornerstone of the American dream is home ownership. You know, my wife and I, as much as we shake our head every month when we write that check to the bank for our mortgage, also have an incredible sense of pride. Unfortunately, that American dream is slipping away for so many right now. And it's directly because of Joe Biden and Chris Pappas' policies. I mean, part of the reason we have a housing shortage is that there's supply chain challenges for building new homes. Talk to anyone who's in construction, and they'll tell you that they cannot get the goods that they need in a timely manner and at an affordable price to actually build affordable homes for young families. If we tackle the challenge of inflation, and we actually get serious about the supply chain problems that have been caused by Joe Biden and Chris Pappas' policies, we can address this thing. The other thing we can do is ensure that we have local control. We don't need the federal government telling towns and communities how they should be setting up their town with more apartments and things like that. That's for local and state office holders to be making those decisions. So it's in the character of the community.
And Ms. Hepburn, same question. What should federal policy target?
I do agree that this is a state and local issue. One of the problems that we have are towns that have districting that doesn't allow for multifamily housing, affordable housing, and different forms of housing. I too am a realtor, so obviously I know this topic very well. Over the past couple of years, we've seen the prices on the seacoast where I live go up incredibly, more than anywhere else in the state. And we have to look ahead. Now, what's going to happen? Obviously, part of the housing crisis is the labor crisis, and they go hand in hand. And we need to incentivize companies to keep our labor force here. My daughter works here in Portsmouth, and my granddaughter was born here in Portsmouth. I want them to stay here forever. And the only way we keep young people here and we keep them employed is by making sure that they can afford housing. It is so, so vital. So that is something that I will work very, very hard. It's a federal, state, and local issue.